gotta watch.
It was supposed to be a picture-perfect Memorial Day weekend. Blue skies, barbecue smoke rising from backyards, kids splashing in pools. But by midday Saturday, the Florida sunshine vanished behind towering walls of black thunderclouds. Within hours, peace exploded into pandemonium. Hailstones, first the size of peas, then golf balls, pounded rooftops and cars with the fury of machine gun fire. Winds screamed down neighborhood streets at 60 miles an hour, ripping through trees and tossing debris like confetti. From Palm Bay to Miami, residents who woke up expecting a lazy summer afternoon found themselves trapped in a battlefield of ice and lightning. Traffic screeched to a halt, power lines snapped, and skylights shattered across entire neighborhoods. Meteorologists would later call it a textbook May outbreak, the kind of atmospheric collision that strikes once in a generation, when extreme heat, Gulf moisture, and sea breeze winds collided to unleash chaos across the peninsula. But for the people on the ground, it wasn't science. It was survival, a day when Florida's calm skies turned violently savage, reminding the entire state how fast beauty can twist into disaster. Late that Saturday morning, the air over central Florida felt wrong. Heavy, electric, the eerie stillness before something massive. By 11:30 a.m., the National Weather Service radar in Melbourne flashed bright pink and purple cores, the unmistakable signs of hail-producing supercells. Meteorologists staring at the screens knew exactly what was coming. Temperatures had soared to 93 degrees, with the heat index pushing past 100, a boiling mix of moisture and instability that turned the atmosphere into a powder keg. Then, as sea breezes from both the Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico converged over the peninsula, the sky detonated. Thunderheads mushroomed upward at breathtaking speed, rising over 40,000 feet in minutes. The first rumbles of thunder rolled across Brevard County, followed by blinding flashes of lightning that lit the horizon like strobe lights. Then came the sound, a sharp metallic rattle growing louder by the second. Hail began to fall. At first, just a few scattered pellets tapping against windshields, but within moments the storm intensified. Tiny pellets morphed into marbles, then into golf ball-sized stones slamming against rooftops and cars like a barrage of gunfire. In Cocoa and Rockledge, skylights shattered under the onslaught. Patio screens ripped apart. Pickup trucks parked in driveways were left covered in quarter-inch dents. Social media feeds exploded instantly with videos of streets blanketed in white, the kind of surreal scene that made summer in Florida look like the dead of winter. By 1:45 p.m., the National Weather Service issued its second severe thunderstorm warning of the day, urging residents to stay indoors. But for many, it was already too late. The storm had arrived, and the Sunshine State was under siege. By mid-afternoon, the storm gathered monstrous strength and turned south toward Palm Bay, dragging a wall of wind and ice with it. What had looked like a gray blur on radar was now a living monster overhead, a churning, roaring cloud that swallowed the sky. The gust front hit like a freight train. Winds screamed through neighborhoods at nearly 60 mph, snapping limbs, lifting trash cans, and tearing shingles from rooftops. The air was so thick with debris and hail that visibility dropped to almost zero. On Tahoe Court, a massive live oak, believed to be nearly a century old, couldn't withstand the fury. The trunk split clean in two, sending a branch the length of a school bus crashing down onto a single-story home. Inside, a family of 4 huddled together, praying the roof would hold. Palm Bay fire rescue crews raced into the heart of the storm, their sirens drowned out by the pounding of hail and wind. Chainsaws roared against the thunder as firefighters worked in torrential rain to cut through fallen limbs and reach the trapped family. Miraculously, no one was hurt. Meanwhile, along Interstate 95, drivers pulled onto the shoulder as sheets of hail turned the road into a shimmering white blur. Lightning struck power poles near Vieira, triggering explosions that lit the horizon in eerie blue flashes. Transformers popped and sparked as thousands of residents lost electricity within minutes. By the time the winds finally eased, Palm Bay looked like a war zone. Tree limbs scattered across yards, car windshields spiderwebbed with cracks, and the once green streets now blanketed in a layer of ice. The Sunshine State had just been reminded how quickly its skies can turn from calm to catastrophic. While Palm Bay was still reeling from the hail barrage, downtown Melbourne was drowning under a deluge of tropical rain. By mid-afternoon, the sky had turned an unrecognizable shade of gray. Thick, low clouds pressing down on the city like a lid. Thunder rolled endlessly and lightning flickered across the horizon every few seconds, each flash followed by another explosive downpour. At first, it was just heavy rain, but soon the sheer intensity overwhelmed the city's drainage system. In less than 45 minutes, more than 3 inches of rain fell, the kind of rainfall rate that can turn any Florida street into a raging river. Strawbridge Avenue, one of Melbourne's busiest corridors, disappeared beneath knee-deep floodwater. Cars that had tried to push through began to float, their headlights glowing dimly under the rising water. Residents watched from storefronts as waves of runoff surged past, carrying trash bins, palm fronds, and even patio furniture down the street. Video clips from locals flooded social media, people wading through waist-deep water, hail still clinking against flooded cars, and thunder echoing so loud it rattled windows. As darkness crept over the horizon, the same storm system that battered Central Florida descended upon the south, and this time it came with full force. By 3:30 p.m., massive thunderheads towered above the Everglades, glowing an ominous shade of charcoal gray. Within minutes, radar showed multiple storm cells marching directly toward Broward and Miami-Dade counties. The first strikes hit Miramar and Pembroke Pines, where shoppers at the shops at Pembroke Gardens sprinted for cover as hail clattered off parked cars like 1,000 hammers striking metal. Wind gusts reached 58 mph, toppling palm trees and ripping banners from streetlights. Traffic lights along Pines Boulevard flickered, then went dark as power transformers blew one after another. In Fort Lauderdale, beachgoers watched in disbelief as a slender waterspout spun up just offshore near Las Olas Beach. The swirling column of mist and spray danced across the ocean's surface, accompanied by a crack of thunder so close it set off car alarms along the waterfront. Lifeguards cleared the sand seconds before the funnel dissolved in a flash of lightning. Then came Miami's turn. Around 5 p.m., a massive supercell, the same one that originated over the Everglades, roared into the urban core. Sheets of blinding rain swallowed the skyline from Doral to Coral Gables, while hail briefly pelted neighborhoods near Sweetwater, an extremely rare event for the coastal corridor. The temperature dropped nearly 15 minutes as the city disappeared, beneath a gray curtain of rain. Commuters caught on the Palmetto Expressway found themselves trapped in gridlock as water began, pooling beneath overpasses. Drivers abandoned stalled cars as flash flooding consumed lanes from NW 36th Street to US 441. Meanwhile, Metromover trains slowed to restricted speeds after repeated lightning strikes near downtown substations knocked out sensors and signals across the city. Flashes of white lightning illuminated the skyline, each one revealing more chaos below. Flooded intersections, palm trees bent nearly sideways, and sirens wailing in every direction. In a single evening, Miami had gone from sunshine to survival. The city that never slows down was now brought to a standstill by nature's raw power. Long before Florida's skies turned violent, the same storm system had already made its presence known across the Deep South. At 7:12 a.m. Saturday, meteorologists at the National Weather Service in Mobile detected a rapidly rotating updraft southwest of Andalusia, Alabama. On radar, it was unmistakable, a classic hook echo, the signature of a forming tornado. Within minutes, that rotation tightened into a wedge-shaped funnel, touching down just outside Covington County. Residents barely had 5 minutes between the tornado warning and the moment the storm roared across Highway 55. Communities standing back up, one shingle, one power line, one breath at a time. And now, as the next storm season looms on the horizon, the question isn't if it will happen again, but when. If this story moved you, if it made you stop and think about how fragile our world can be, Don't let it fade when the video ends. Hit like, share this story with someone who lives in storm country, and subscribe to stay informed about the real events shaping our planet. Because awareness saves lives and your voice can make a difference. Question for you. Do you believe storms like this are just part of nature's cycle or signs that our climate is changing faster than we're ready for? Tell us what you think in the comments below. Your thoughts, your stories, and your perspective matter because every storm leaves behind a message. And the biggest question of all is, are we listening?